Good to have you with us this morning. I'm Joe Fryer.
And I'm Jessica Layton, in for Savannah, who is also in Italy. We begin this morning with the ongoing search for Savannah Guthrie's beloved mom, Nancy. The effort is growing increasingly urgent because the 84-year-old has now been without her critical medication for days.
The FBI has now joined the investigation, and President Trump weighed in for the first time yesterday when he was asked about it. He said he'd be willing to commit additional federal resources to the search effort. Savannah is no longer heading to the Winter Olympics in Italy, where she was scheduled to host the opening ceremonies this Friday. She remains in Tucson, of course, with her family during this difficult time and continues to ask for prayers. NBC News correspondent Dana Griffin joins us now from Tucson with the latest. Dana, good morning. So we know the Pima County Sheriff's Office held a news conference yesterday. Not a lot of new information shared with the public. What did we learn?
Yeah, Joe, Jessica, not a lot of new information, but they are reiterating their commitment to finding Nancy Guthrie. The sheriff says he is holding out hope that she is still alive, but they are still trying to narrow down the timeline from when she was taken and also why she was taken from her Tucson home. Jess?
Dana, we know investigators say that they are aware of 2 reports now of ransom notes sent to news organizations that reference Nancy Guthrie. We want to be clear that NBC News has not seen those notes and is not clear on whether they are legitimate. But how are law enforcement officials responding to these?
So they are taking every tip seriously, no matter where it comes from. The FBI, we know, is now investigating. The sheriff's office saying in a statement that we are aware of reports circulating about possible ransom notes regarding the investigation into Nancy Guthrie. We are taking all tips and leads very seriously. Anything that comes in goes directly to our detectives who are coordinating with the FBI. And it's important to note that as of this hour, they still do not have any leads or a suspect named.
And that's why they're telling people, if you think you know anything at all, call it in. They'll sort it out. They'll take a look into it. Dana, we know officials say a major challenge in the search has been finding surveillance video in the area. Can you give us a sense of the neighborhood and some of the other challenges this is posing when it comes to the investigation?
Absolutely. So this is a very rural, suburban area. There is tall, dry brush outside of the Guthrie home. And so it's making it difficult to find surveillance video that shows any sort of movement in that neighborhood. There's also no street lights. So this was done possibly overnight into the wee hours of the morning. So that is definitely presenting a challenge. Investigators are still waiting to get back some potential surveillance images that they downloaded from the home or that they are trying to download from the home. And they hope that that will create some sort of big break in this case. But everyone is just holding out hope, sending love and prayers to the Guthrie family and just hoping for her safe return.
Absolutely.
Jessica, Joe.
That's what we're all hoping for right now. Dana, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
In Washington, President Trump is once again calling into question the integrity of the 2020 presidential election with an eye toward the future. Using his unfounded claims that he won as a pretext, President Trump said yesterday that Republicans should nationalize elections. That would mean taking over a role that the Constitution right now grants solely to the states. The president has long claimed, without evidence, that he lost the 2020 election to former President Joe Biden because of widespread voter fraud. He is now doubling down on those conspiracy theories, while Republicans try to clarify what the president is trying to do. NBC News reporter Alice Barr has the latest from Washington. Alice, good morning.
Joe and Jessica, good morning. President Trump is facing pushback from both parties over his comments about elections that contradict the Constitution and come amid an investigation in Georgia that has Democrats raising their own concerns about election security.
Said that you should nationalize elections.
President Trump doubling down.
I want to see elections be honest.
On controversial comments out this week in a podcast with his former deputy FBI director.
The Republicans should say, we want to take over. We should take over the voting in at least 15 places. The Republicans ought to nationalize the voting.
Democrats calling that an assault on the Constitution, which dictates that the states run elections.
This is more dangerous autocratic poison from Donald Trump.
Top Republicans in the House.
It's always been the responsibility of the states to administer elections.
And Senate also calling this a constitutional issue while pointing to the SAVE Act, a Republican bill requiring proof of citizenship to register to vote that the White House said President Trump was referencing.
Ensuring that only citizens of this country vote in our elections, that's something I think we all agree with.
It's already illegal for non-citizens to vote in federal and state elections. It all comes as President Trump continues to falsely assert the debunked claim that the 2020 election was stolen through widespread fraud. In a dramatic escalation, the FBI last week raided a Fulton County, Georgia election center, seizing ballots and other records related to the 2020 election. Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard observed the raid, and two sources say she facilitated President Trump speaking by phone directly to FBI agents involved in the search, sparking more outrage among Democrats as a senior administration official pointed to Gabbard's role in election security. The top Democrat on the Senate Intelligence Committee, Mark Warner, is calling on DNI Gabbard to testify before Congress while accusing the Trump administration of dismantling election protections from foreign and cyber threats. Gabbard told the House and Senate Intelligence Committees she has broad authority to ensure that U.S. elections are secure and will share her assessments once complete. Joe and Jessica?
All right, Alice, thank you.
Setting aside a simmering confrontation, President Trump appears to have buried the hatchet with Colombian President Gustavo Petro. The two outspoken leaders met yesterday at the Oval Office.
Tensions between both leaders had become severely strained in recent months following the buildup of American warships in the Caribbean and the U.S. strikes on alleged drug boats there. Petro was also highly critical of the U.S. operation to capture former Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro just last month.
NBC News Capitol Hill correspondent Melanie Zanona joins us now with the latest on this and some more headlines. Mel, both leaders did appear pretty cordial yesterday, a stark contrast to some of the rhetoric we were hearing in the lead up to this. Walk us through what we know was discussed, what came out of these talks.
Yeah, good morning, guys. These two leaders have been trading hostile insults for months, with at one point President Trump even suggesting that Petro could suffer the same fate as captured President Nicolas Maduro. But yesterday was a very cordial meeting by all accounts. Trump even called it a productive meeting. And afterwards, President Trump was asked whether the two of them came to an agreement on drug trafficking. Here's what he had to say.
We got along very well. He and I weren't exactly the best of friends, but I wasn't insulted because I never met him. I didn't know him at all. And we got along very well, and we're working on that. We're working on some other things, too, including sanctions. And we had a very good meeting. I thought he was terrific.
And meanwhile, afterwards, Petro said he gave the president a list of kingpins from all around the world that the two countries could work together on arresting. So a very different tone coming out of this meeting from these two different leaders.
Yeah, for sure. And Melanie, we want to switch to another topic. The federal government is now back open following that partial shutdown that was sparked by that dispute over funding for the Department of Homeland Security, which of course oversees ICE. But the battle to keep the government open is obviously far from over. So where does everything stand this morning?
That's exactly right. The hardest work is yet to come. That's because the deal that was approved yesterday only included a temporary funding patch for the Department of Homeland Security, which has come under intense scrutiny following those fatal shootings in Minnesota. And Democrats are demanding more reforms for ICE. They want things like prohibition on masks. They want mandates on body cameras. They want mandates on identification. They want things like tighter judicial rules for warrants. But Republicans have already rejected a number of those ideas. And meanwhile, they have their own list of demands that they want to see in any DHS funding bill, like ending so-called sanctuary cities, which is just a complete non-starter for Democrats. So this is going to be a huge battle. And at this point, they have less than 10 days to figure it out, or else they'll face another government shutdown for the Department of Homeland Security.
Mel, we also want to ask you about this ongoing standoff between the Clintons and House Republicans over getting the former First Family to testify in front of lawmakers. This is part of the House Oversight Committee's investigation into the late convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Looks like the Clintons are willing to testify. The question is just how they're going to do it. What's the latest there?
Yeah, there's been so much back and forth between the Clintons and the House Oversight Committee. It does appear that there is an agreement between the two sides that the Clintons will appear for depositions on February 26th and February 27th. What's not yet agreed on yet is the format, because the Clintons are pushing for these depositions to be public. They say this is the only way to ensure a transparent and fair process. They don't trust the Republicans on the committee to play this straight. But Republicans are pushing to keep this behind closed doors, saying this is how they've done all their other depositions in this investigation so far. So at this moment, that is still yet to be worked out. So far, though, Republicans have taken those contempt resolutions off the table. But ultimately, if they can't come to an agreement, Republicans saying they are reserving the right to move ahead with holding both the Clintons in criminal contempt of Congress. Guys.
All right, Mel, thank you so much.
It was just last Friday that the Justice Department released millions of pages from the Epstein files, and the aftershocks from those revelations are still being felt. So let's continue this conversation with NBC News senior justice reporter Ryan Riley. Ryan, good morning. There was a lot of backlash from Epstein survivors about the amount of redactions that we saw in the latest release. This was something that the president was asked about yesterday. What did he have to say?
Yeah, so Donald Trump thinks that the American people and the media should really move on from this topic. Take a listen to what he had to say.
I think it's really time for the country to get onto something else, really. Now that nothing came out about me, other than it was a conspiracy against me, literally, by Epstein and other people. But I think it's time now for the country to maybe get onto something else.
What would you say to people
like
who feel like they haven't gotten
healthcare,
justice, Mr. President?
something that people care about?
So obviously Trump wants to move on from this, as you heard in that clip. But there's just been a lot of new details that are continuing to emerge when you have such an enormous amount of information like this. This is not a story that sort of instantly goes away. It's taken journalists a while to go through these documents, to review them, to reach out for comment, to individuals named into documents, to sort of sort through what is a legitimate story or a legitimate inquiry, and some of the unfiltered materials that made their way through this process that aren't as reliable. So this is something, I think, a storyline that's definitely going to extend beyond probably what Donald Trump would like here.
Yeah, and extend beyond our borders here, too, because the fallout from this latest release of documents is spreading to the UK. We know police there have launched an investigation into a major political figure there, Peter Mandelson. He briefly served as British ambassador to the U.S. before he was fired last year when details emerged over his relationship with Epstein. What exactly is it authorities are investigating now?
Yeah, so authorities over in the UK are looking at whether there was any information improperly released. But there's also just been some political fallout in Britain over this because of the way that, this was someone who was serving in this important role. So there are a lot of documents that the government is in possession of about this appointment. What was sort of who knew what when, I think, is a big component of this about his relationship with Epstein. But police have launched an investigation into that.
And Ryan, here in the U.S., the ex-wife of Microsoft founder Bill Gates is speaking out for the first time after his name appeared in the Epstein files. So remind us of the allegations facing Gates, how he's responding, and also what we're hearing from his ex-wife, Melinda.
Yeah, so there was this interview with his ex-wife Melinda saying that this is sort of something that she sort of put behind her, but there were some pretty salacious allegations in these files as they emerged, him seeking advice and whatnot. And so it's something that she's trying to put behind her and making clear that is in her past.
Okay, Ryan, thanks so much. And on a programming note, make sure to catch Tom Yamas's exclusive interview with President Trump tonight at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time on NBC's Nightly News and at 7 p.m. on News Now's Top Story.
In a shocking story out of Delaware, the ex-husband of former First Lady Jill Biden is now charged with murdering his wife. NBC News correspondent Aaron McLaughlin reports.
The ex-husband of former First Lady Jill Biden behind bars, charged with first-degree murder. Bill Stevenson was taken into custody on Monday in Delaware after a grand jury charged him with intentionally causing the death of his wife, Linda. According to authorities, on the night of December 28th, police were called to the Stevensons' Delaware residence for a domestic dispute. They found Linda unresponsive in the living room. She was later pronounced dead. Bill Stevenson was married to Jill Biden for 5 years in the 70s. In her 2019 memoir, Biden wrote about the ill-fated relationship, detailing how the two met in college and married when she was just 18, writing, "There was a time when I truly believed we were destined for each other, but that they soon grew in different directions." Biden calling the divorce the biggest disappointment of my young life. She also wrote that Stevenson supported Joe Biden's 1972 run for Senate. Although decades later, when Biden became president,
it's my honor to introduce the 46th president, my husband, Joe Biden.
Stevenson was an outspoken critic of the First Lady, frequently talking about the relationship on Newsmax.
She was bitter, she was nasty, and she said things in the court that were crazy.
The Biden family declined to comment about the case. Stevenson is in custody, having failed to post $500,000 cash bail. Aaron McLaughlin, NBC News.
Two sisters from Florida are safe and back home this morning after authorities say they were kidnapped by a man they connected with online. Police say the suspect drove across the country after meeting the girls on the popular apps Roblox and Snapchat. Well, that suspect is now in custody. NBC News correspondent George Solis has more.
A kidnapping crisis averted after authorities arrested a Nebraska man accused of taking two young Florida girls. Investigators say Sir Mullah Say, who remains in custody, drove from Omaha to Martin County, Florida, to pick up 12 and 15-year-old sisters after chatting with them for months, first on the online gaming app Roblox and then Snapchat.
Anything where you can communicate digitally can be a problem. You can never disregard any of the apps.
The sisters were first reported missing Saturday evening when authorities say family called 911 after the girls went for a walk and didn't come home.
They went for a walk around 4:45 and they haven't come back. It's two girls.
Investigators say the girls were found more than 7 hours later across state lines inside the suspect's car by Georgia State Police.
These criminals that are out there constantly surfing the internet, they know what to say.
In a statement to NBC News, Roblox saying in part they're investigating, adding they have robust safety policies to protect users that go beyond many other platforms. Snapchat telling NBC News in part, we continuously adapt our strategies as criminals evolve their tactics. All of this comes as authorities in Indiana recovered the remains of 17-year-old Haley Busby, who was reported missing last month. Authorities say a 39-year-old man who met the teen on a gaming platform is in custody in connection with the case.
The family of the two girls tells us they are extremely grateful to have them back. The sheriff's office telling us more charges could be brought against the suspect. Back to you.
George Solis, thank you.
French prosecutors raided the Paris offices of Elon Musk's social media platform X yesterday. The company is now pushing back, calling the raid, quote, an abusive act of law enforcement theater. French authorities are investigating the spread of sexual deepfakes and Holocaust denial content on X. Comes amid wider concerns about X's AI chatbot Grok and the generation of non-consensual images. NBC News international correspondent Raf Sanchez has the latest on the investigation. Raf, good morning.
Hey there, yeah, Elon Musk defiant after French authorities raided the office of X, formerly known as Twitter, in Paris. French authorities say this is part of a sprawling investigation into whether the American social media platform violated French laws. They are specifically concerned about Grok, which is, of course, X's generative AI chatbot. There have been cases all over the world where the chatbot seems to have generated pornographic images. I want to walk you through some of the suspected charges that led to this raid. French prosecutors say they are looking into potential complicity in the possession and distribution of child pornography images. They're also concerned about potential violation of personal image rights. This is alleged use of Grok for sexual deepfakes of people, creating basically pornographic images of people without their consent. Also, denial of crimes against humanity. This is Holocaust denial, which is illegal in France and in other countries in Europe. Now, French authorities have summoned both Musk and Linda Yaccarino, who is the former chief executive of X, to appear before an investigative hearing in April. We don't know at this point whether either of them will agree. It's worth saying neither of them have been charged with a crime, but French prosecutors say they want to hear from them as they carry out this investigation. We got a very strong statement from X a couple of hours after the raid. I want to read you just a little bit of it. They really come out swinging, saying the allegations underlying today's raid are baseless, and X categorically denies any wrongdoing. Today's staged raid reinforces our conviction that this investigation distorts French law, circumvents due process, and endangers free speech. And on that last point, free speech, you have seen Elon Musk repeatedly accuse European governments of trying to censor free speech on X and other platforms. And that is an accusation that has been taken up by the Trump administration. So it'll be worth seeing whether the White House comes to the defense of X as it faces this investigation in France, as well as other investigations in other European countries. I'll send it back to you.
All right, Raf Sanchez, thank you.
Time now for a check on your morning News Now weather.
Angie Lastman is tracking the record warmth out west and the not record warmth here out east. Angie, good morning.
I can feel the saltiness in your voice, Joe. I know. We're looking for some warmer weather across the east. We've improved a little bit. These temperatures are not quite as harsh as they were, I don't know, just a couple of days ago. We've still got the 20s, of course, which doesn't sound great in Indianapolis, but 30s for Providence, 37 for Richmond, 55 for Charleston. We're starting to get a little closer to normal for now. Meanwhile, out west, yes, we've got these potential records that we're going to see into the afternoon hours. 50 degrees across parts of the Rockies, 57 for Rapid City, 88 degrees in Los Angeles. The warm conditions will spread a little farther to the east for tomorrow as well, and they'll include parts of the plains in the Midwest. So we will get to 37 degrees in Minneapolis. And by the way, that's 12 degrees above normal. So we're making improvements as promised. 50s from Omaha to Springfield, 60s for Dallas. Still a little chilly across parts of the east, really from the Great Lakes to the coast. We've got 31 for New York, 26 tomorrow in Cincinnati. And then we start to see temperatures kind of dropping once again. We are going to see some more of that Arctic air kind of slide in from the north and settle in just in time for the weekend. We'll also have a bit of snow to talk about in some spots. But here's those minimum wind chills that I really want to draw your attention to, because while we're starting to make some improvements in the short term, long term, there still will be some dangerous temperatures to deal with as people are out and about over the weekend. So sub-zero temperatures for the wind chills on Saturday and Sunday. These are the minimum wind chills, so it's as low as it's going to get. -4 and -9 for Saturday and Sunday there. -15 on Sunday. 30 and mid-30s below as we look to Saturday and Sunday in Lake Placid. So we do have more of that chilly air kind of going to slide in here as we get into the weekend. Meanwhile, we've got some rain across the south from the Gulf Coast all the way up into the Carolinas. Some heavy downpours expected for folks, especially across the Gulf Coast. We'll see those showers dampen your morning commute, and then they kind of slide to the east. Maybe some light snow for Virginia and parts of North Carolina. Nothing that's going to slow you down a whole lot, but still notable if you're going to be out and about on the roads. And then that system is offshore by the morning tomorrow, so we're not going to worry too much about that. We'll still maybe see a couple of those pesky showers hanging around across Florida, but we'll make some of those improvements. And in the meantime, some needed rain across this region, maybe a quarter of an inch to up to an inch. Nothing so impressive, but still, again, might slow you down on the roads. Otherwise, we look ahead to the weekend. Friday, we've got a quick clipper storm that's going to work across the Great Lakes and into the Appalachians and Northeast. We'll still be dealing with those record highs out west. And then as we get into Saturday, a lot of sunshine on this map, guys. You see all that sunshine? Not a lot of bad weather unless you look at the temperatures. That's where we still are seeing the bitter cold conditions, windy even across parts of northern New England. And then we will gear ourselves up for some rain across parts of the Pacific Northwest. Otherwise, a super Sunday for the Super Bowl. We'll have lots of dry skies. So if you're looking to, I don't know, grill out for Super Bowl Sunday, you better go to Miami.
There you go.
Otherwise, 20s, 30s, that's what you're going to get across the Great Lakes, the Northeast, and a whole lot of other
It's going to be chilly. Yeah. Actual pot of chili.
Yeah,
right. Inside while it's chilly outside.
I see what you did there.
You see what I did there?
Good thing the Olympics aren't at Lake Placid this year.
Yeah, exactly. Can you imagine how bundled we would all be?
No kidding.
No, thank you.
No, thank you's right.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.